Hello and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. My name is Cliff.
Tim.
We're joined today with Drew, and as we get into the show a little bit, we're going to talk about some cryptocurrencies. But to start it off, I wanted to talk about a little bit about the local area here in Johnson City. And we were kind of kicking these ideas around when we first got here and started talking, and we want to talk about Mountain Dew and how it got its origin in Johnson City. Now this was a beverage that was invented, the flavor was invented in 1940 by Barney and Allie Hartman. They're brothers who were soda makers here. And they the Mountain Dew that was originally invented is not the Mountain Dew that we have today. It kind of went through a bit of a process before we got there, where it's first produced in Johnson City or Knoxville in 1946. And the Tri-Cities Beverage Company had the first franchise for it, and it started that in 1954. But in 1960, that's when we actually got the Mountain Dew that we know today, which was first called the Tri-Cities Lemonade. And that was the one that's been distributed and we have all over the place now. So it comes kind of all back to Tennessee, and Mountain Dew, wasn't it originally, people call moonshine that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we had I'd found a bottle, I think it was at the Laurels, when we'd found a glass bottle stuck in the dirt when we was kids. And it was the original Mountain Dew bottle, and it has like the stereotypical hillbilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like the real gang.
What is it, brown? Was it brown?
Huh?
Brown bottle?
I don't remember. I want to say it was green. I want to say it was darker than this one, but it's like the skinny.
So we had one as well, and it was a brown.
Was it brown?
It had the hillbilly on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the almost like what you call it, cut pad art would be what I would call it now, but it's like 30s and 40s.
Like a hand drawn.
Bugs Bunny art is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. That kind of style
Yeah.
with the hillbilly, and it was obviously empty.
I wonder if that was one of the older ones, or because I've seen a lot of iterations of those bottles, and I have seen that hillbilly on some of the other ones too. But I've never seen a brown bottle that I can remember.
Is that the original, or is anything brown?
It's hard to tell,
Because this one's green, but this one didn't feel like it was like a reissue or something. It felt like it was probably, I'm just pulling down my butt, probably 70s is what the glass appeared to be to me.
Well, they went on to distribute that around the country in 1960, and Tri-Cities Beverage, who was again the first franchise that did the Mountain Dew, they also make Dr. Enough. And Dr. Enough is all the rage here in Johnson City, but you actually have people all over the country who get it shipped to them in the mail.
I think they sell it at every Cracker Barrel store.
That's right.
It's the big one though. That's got the. Do you remember when as kids, the little bottle had the little dude with the magnifying glass? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And that was the doctor.
Yeah.
That's what's on the bigger ones they sell in Cracker Barrel.
The little bottle is my favorite. Is it the plastic bottles?
No, I hate
Oh,
those.
I don't like
No,
those
you
either.
can't do
Dr.
plastic
Enough,
bottles.
if you come across this,
No,
don't.
so the ones at Cracker Barrel are the ones. Well, I don't know if they are anymore, but they
Got
were
the
the
pop top.
The pop tops.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I've not got
Yeah.
one there.
Yeah. And you have to be careful because I think that they, like you go to like Michigan or somewhere, they might have not sold these things for a year or two. It gets
Yeah,
kinda
because they're
sketchy.
in like a novelty section, like with all the other.
There's a bunch
stuff,
of there's a big shelf of just novelty sodas from across the country.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guess they make the plastic bottle Dr. Enough because you can't take glass bottles to games and stuff. Is that right?
I don't know, but
I
it's
hate
terrible.
I
And
can't
then,
drink them.
then you have places like Pal's that do it on fountain.
I don't
I
care
don't
for
like
that
that
either.
either.
No,
Right.
it's a glass bottle or nothing for me.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's me too.
I prefer the small one over the large glass
I
bottle.
do too. I just go through too much.
But the large one's still good.
Yeah, if I go to the small one, I'll go through like 3 in a sitting instead of just one of those.
So when did they sell to Pepsi Mountain Dew?
I'm not sure about that.
Probably when it went nationally, right?
Maybe. I really don't know.
I can tell you when around the same time they changed the recipe was when they came out with the Big Shack Big Slam. Remember Shaquille O'Neal had the Big Slam? That's when they started making those real long, skinny Mountain Dews, and they changed the logo to look all zigzaggy like a 90s Trapper Keeper.
Okay.
I swear, because I was in well, you remember when we go to like basketball games and stuff? The Mountain Dew was so good then.
Mhm.
It's because it was sugar. It's like a Mountain Dew
Cane
throwback.
sugar,
That's
right.
what a throwback tastes like now. And then I really distinctly noticed it when they started putting out those the Mountain Dew Big Slams and stuff, that it just didn't taste the same anymore. Almost made you thirstier.
You know what's funny though is
Drinking sand.
when
Yeah.
they brought those throwbacks back, Like I guess I got used to the high fructose corn syrup because they tasted funny.
Did they?
Going back to the throwback Pepsis and the throwback Mountain Dews.
Yeah, but about 2009, 2010, they started doing the real sugar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the white can of Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was good.
Do they still do that? They still have this?
Yeah. Honestly, I
think
think
they
so
do
many
them-
Dr. Nuts, I couldn't tell you what anything.
I think they do them periodically. Well, I'll tell you something they've done recently, and then break this out. Brought to
Then you
you,
pull the giant bag.
brought to you by Big
down
Pharma
there.
here.
You know the magician on the Prestige? His secret is he walks around with that giant fishbowl between his legs all the time. Okay, that's what it was trying to think of. 'Cause I was like, how the hell did you get that down there? I'm seeing it.
My Magic Man Tim. All right, what we got here today is a Mountain Dew
It looks angry.
Thrashed Apple. Now they specify this contains 0% juice, which
Yes.
I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah.
But we're going to try these today. These were given us to an audience member. Well, I won't mention her name because I didn't ask her if I could, but we thank you giving these. And the reason she gave us these is because nobody else in her house wanted them. She brought them home, and
At
they.
least we know what we collect at this
Yeah.
podcast.
They're-
We collect the stuff people don't want.
That's right. Well, there was a 12-pack of them, and it looks like maybe 2 were out there, and people must turn their nose up at them. So we're going to try them here
Okay.
and see what we
I
think
just
of
went
it.
straight for it. Sorry,
Mm.
I didn't wait on y'all.
Oh, we're gonna give it a review.
Well, we're just going to give it a
Might
first
as well.
reaction.
First reaction.
I
Tastes
kind of
like
like it.
apple. I don't hate it.
It does have like an apple juice smell to it.
It's got a green
You're
apple.
going
in
like
particular.
wine expert.
I kind of like it.
Swirl it around in your palate and then cough.
You know
to
what?
clean.
This is a weird thing, but it doesn't. You don't get that burn as
No.
much. You know.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Like you can literally feel it going down your throat. Yeah, it's smooth.
It's very smooth, and the bubbles are
Drew's
a
already
nice
thinking of like several
consistency.
different kinds of mixed drinks.
No,
Make
I
it
think
good.
you could mix this pretty well.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
sweet, so
Yeah,
you'd
yeah,
be
yeah.
hungover's crap. But
Yeah, well, think about moonshine, apple pie moonshine. Think how well that would mix with something like that.
yeah, I can see that.
You reckon that's what
It's
they
not
had in
bad.
mind?
No, I think they just had that logo of that evil looking
What's
apple.
that thing?
He's got a
tomato
big
monster.
axe. The tree has an axe.
Yeah, he's a-
He is. Is he chopping the apples off of himself? Is that what he's doing?
Oh, is this their answer? Well, no, this is.
It's
an
got like
alcohol beverage.
crossbones, but there's
Is
an
he playing
apple
the
instead of a
drums?
skull.
He's
Yeah.
playing the drums.
Yeah, we got a drumming apple
Yeah,
here,
he's a
folks.
thrasher, dude.
Oh, I got it.
Thrashed apple.
Okay, I
Thrashing
was
apple,
when you
yeah.
said thrasher, I was going with like.
And you said
Oh, he's got a guitar. That's
Like-
not an axe.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
got a
yeah.
guitar. All
So
right.
this is
Some
more like
people call it
Metallica
that,
thrash.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
not. I was thinking like Axe Killer Thrasher. I
That's
don't know,
what
it's
I thought.
Halloween.
I thought he had
or
it.
something.
I was right there with you,
So
Tim.
he's the tree, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
A,
Yeah,
he's,
yeah,
a,
yeah.
he's a mad tree.
And the apple is the drummer.
Okay.
It didn't fall far from the tree, I guess.
I suppose you could say that, Drew.
Okay.
But yeah, well, I think it's pretty
It's
good.
not too bad.
If you did mix you moonshine with it, but I can see why somebody who's not into say sour apple would not appreciate that because it does have a very green taste to it.
It does taste like green apple.
It's you could have one. I
Yeah,
don't know that
yeah,
you want to
yeah.
drink like 12
Less,
of them.
yeah.
The
Pour some
rest of the
gin
12
in
pack
there,
is probably
man.
gonna last me. Hey, Jim.
I think gin might go with it better than.
I can see the gym. Yes. Yeah.
I was thinking that
But
about
it's
apple pie
0% juice, so it
moonshine,
would
and
not
I
be
think I would
gin
just go
juice.
That's
moonshine
right.
because you're mixing two apples.
Important to make that separation there.
Yeah.
The distinction.
Maybe that's why they did it.
Yeah.
This is not juice.
Not Jews. They want to keep the posers from keep them in line. But so yeah, our overall seems to be pretty good. Okay.
Here's our.
Yeah.
Maybe a little sponsors and give us some
I have not seen these.
free cans, and then we can learn to hate it.
Yeah.
Give them a burden on our lives.
Well, Mountain Dew, I know they've got a ton of different sodas, and maybe this could be something that because everybody you come across all these different sodas as you travel the country, and sometimes you buy them, or I do, just to see what they're like, see what the region's drink is, because kind of everywhere has their own local drink that's regional that everybody there likes, and you can't get anywhere else in the country. So if you know those, man, we'd love to try those too. And Mountain Dew makes tons of them, so we could always try a different Mountain Dew because they're all just coming up with a different one of those.
Thrashed apple.
But so that was pretty fun. And if you want to send us any more of your beverages at your house that nobody likes, to see if we'll drink them.
Or hamburgers.
No,
Anything.
no Milwaukee's best.
No.
We had a famous batch or a 6-pack of Milwaukee's Best Ice, I think it
Is that what
was.
Moose brought?
No, that was Natural
That
Ice.
was Natty, okay,
I'm
yeah.
thinking of when I was I think it was in high school or maybe right after. a friend of ours had a 6-pack of natural or Milwaukee's Best Ice in the back of his fridge forever, and everybody called it the Beast. And eventually, somebody paid one of the other guys $20 or $40 or $50 or something to drink the Beast, and they had to chug the Beast all at once.
Was it out of date?
Yeah. What's that?
Was it out of date?
Out of date? Oh, I'm sure it was. Yeah, it was. It had been in there for years.
Oh, that's a dumb thing.
Because nobody wanted to drink it.
Beer doesn't age.
What is out of date? I mean, Milwaukee's Best already tastes like crap. Right?
I've never drank out of date beer. I can't imagine it's good though.
What do you think it does to it? I don't know.
Well, good beer does taste skunky when it goes.
Yeah, it goes
out of
skunky.
date.
Yes, but Milwaukee's Best is already skunky.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, I
Extra
didn't
skunky.
understand what the term skunk beer meant because I was never a big drinker until one day I was unloading trucks.
Heineken.
Literally, no lie. I
good
started
way.
smelling, the truck was back and beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, he hit a skunk on the way home. It smelled just like he hit a skunk. And he came in and he goes, well, I know I got some broken glasses some guy pulled out in front of me. I had to do it. And yeah, a case of Heineken come off the top and broke.
Heineken.
I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
Skunk beer.
I don't mind
Just like
Heineken. It's every once in a while I'll buy it in the gas station. You know, they have those $2.29 or 2 for $3, 16
Now,
ounce
is there
cans of
another
Heineken.
is there another skunk besides the Heineken? Because I'm not familiar with
I don't
these
know.
skunk beers.
I'm not really either.
Remember when they used to do the Heineken balls? They were like little mini
Yeah,
kegs.
those were cool. They didn't taste very good, but they were
Oh.
neat. And you had the party balls. I haven't seen those in a while either.
Yeah. Maybe they did.
Of course, I'm out of the partying scene.
Yeah.
Have been for a
I
while.
don't think that's really a thing anymore.
Yeah, so I wouldn't
Party
know if it
ball?
was.
Party balls.
Yeah, it was like a little portable keg. You know, it was like a clear ball, and you pumped it up, and it one-time use keg basically for.
Yeah.
I think it had 35
Man,
beers
you know
in
how
it.
much resources are wasted in the alcohol industry with them trying to give swag out to people?
Gimmicks, dude.
Where it's just garbage.
Yeah.
Just here's some pool floaties that we
No, I
know
had a
you're
buddy,
totally
and that
never
was
going to use.
his entire job was that, and he worked for a company around here, and they had an entire warehouse of just neon lights, TVs, and what they would do is, like, he'd go to a liquor store and he'd be like, if I can set up the X display of whatever, Tito's or whatever, if I can set it up front, I'll throw in this TV, this 32-inch TV, and you can. And they never put it in the store. They always.
Right.
It's always goes home
Stick
to
it in
like
the
the
back.
manager or something.
Yeah. So
Or
if you
sit
ever
in the back. I have seen stores. I mean, TV sit in the back of stores like that.
Or they'll do a giveaway. You buy 2 bottles of Tito's and you'll get a shirt or something with it, right? Or you buy 2 like handles of it or whatever. So if you ever see me with just random liquor shirts on, I have so many of them.
I was talking about like, see, shirts are useful. That's something like we used to. I mean, I actually used to hang out with a girl that was a Miller girl, and that was her job was just to go out there and just give like
Random
trinkets and keychains and just all kinds of stuff that said Miller on it, and it's like it's all going in the garbage.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Those
I have a
make
sign
you
in my garage. It's like Atlanta Braves parking, and it's Tito's branded.
sad. Which I don't know. I don't really have too strong of an opinion on that. Just kind of popped into my head about
Well, you ever hear what the first beer in space?
no.
Natural Light. It was the first
Okay.
beer in space.
Wow.
And that was actually put in space by Natural Light fans. And it was, well, it's technical space because they actually used high altitude balloons.
Oh, you did it over there?
Yeah, I forget how high they got. But they attached a camera to it and floated the natural ice up on high altitude balloons to where you
I
can
need that
see
beer drank in space.
the curve of the Earth.
Yeah, it has to be cracked and drank in space.
Did you get fooled by that fisheye lens, bro? No.
I guess the round earthers got me again.
Just sending stuff to space just for the crap of it, like just to do it?
Yeah,
First
Well,
to be the
there's
first
a-
thing in space.
There was a
Banana in
video
space.
that where they sent bread to space and then they ate it for some reason and they sent it up.
If
on
they
those-
eat it, I'm cool with it. Oh, wait, did it came back down and they ate it?
Yeah, they sent it up to space. I don't know if they cooked it up there or what, but when they brought it back down, they ate the bread to say
That's
that.
a risky thing.
I wonder if they
just
got
not
it.
knowing what
It was
Yeah.
in a container. I don't think it wasn't like black, just like a
Just
loaf
like
of
a
bread.
loaf.
No, it wasn't like a raw dog piece of bread just floating up in there. Space particles just hitting it.
Well, especially when you think of that, what is that, the Andromeda strain? You know, you don't want to eat any Andromeda strain bread, you know.
Maybe that's where Corona came from.
It sounds
Maybe.
like that's how like a B horror movie or alien movie would
Exactly.
start, you know?
It's a Michael Crichton novel.
Contaminated bread.
But it's like
Outer
rip off
space.
Michael Crichton.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds like a movie.
Contaminated bread from outer space.
Exclamation mark. Right.
Yeah, and we'll tack it on to something else. We'll make like a really weird trilogy out of it, like M. Night Shyamalan did.
Okay.
If you see his new thing,
Yeah.
old, that looks ridiculous. I'm not watching it. Sorry,
The
it just popped out.
I don't
haven't seen
remember much of it, but the preview looked very like bright and colorful.
it. Mhm.
Is that It didn't look very M. Night Shyamalan.
Once you start seeing like the plot of the movie and stuff, it looks like he's going back to like sort of his horror roots, because it turns into like a thriller situation. But here. Sorry for the M. Night Shyamalan review you're getting. My issue with M. Night Shyamalan was not his early stuff. People didn't like it when he was quirky. Like, you would get, like, a movie, but there'd be, like, quirks in it, too. You just didn't notice them in some of these early ones, like...
What is his early stuff? Yeah.
Well, like, people didn't notice in Signs some of the quirky stuff, but, like, it started really revealing itself in Lady in the Water.
I loved Lady in the Water.
People didn't notice, like, the quirky stuff, like the dude that was only working on one side.
That was so great.
All those different... But those were always in his movies. People just... That's what people would pick on. And then when he started to... what he started to do was he tried to play to the crowd. He went, well, people are making fun of me because they don't like my director style. Maybe they'll like Avatar, something I have no investment in, and I'm going to try to cram into one movie when I should have made 3.
You did Avatar?
Avatar: The Last Airbender. No, not the blue people.
No, The Last Airbender.
That Last Airbender, because Avatar had already made at that point. And it was horrible.
I was about to say,
it was a terrible movie.
Did James Cameron make Avatar?
That sounds right.
Which is appropriate. He also made Aliens. So, all that stuff. So I don't know why that's appropriate.
Does he still inject himself into everything he does? Like,
I thought I was supposed to say inject himself with human blood. Is he a vampire?
Yeah,
I don't know.
To continue with the theme. No, didn't he do? So he did Aliens, right?
He did Aliens.
No, he did. Did he do Alien 3? Or
I don't know if he did or not. I just
Aliens
watched a
was
brief
the one.
thing
Right.
where he did. He did Aliens. I don't remember if he did RoboCop or not, but no, he didn't. He did Terminator 2.
Yeah, that's the one I was.
Everything he was connected to was like super big. Like
did
after
Titanic.
Aliens 2, everything he did was bigger and bigger because they were like, well, he's got such a good track record. Let's just keep throwing money at him and see what he does with it.
Well, he did Titanic. That one was enormous. He did. Didn't he do The Abyss?
Did he do? Yeah, he did The Abyss. I'm pretty sure, which I think people forget about. I actually liked it pretty good.
Yeah, you should watch the. There's a guy on YouTube called the Critical Drinker. If you've never watched him, he's a Scottish fella who does movie reviews, and I usually find myself probably most of the time agreeing with him. Not always, but I always am entertained by his videos. But he does a production hell video about behind the scenes on The Abyss and during the shooting and stuff. It was pretty cool, and it's amazing that film ever got made. Check that out sometime, Critical Drinker. But one of the reasons... Oh, I meant to ask you... one of the reasons that we actually had Drew come over today is because we wanted to talk a little bit about crypto. Cryptocurrency, that is. Not cryptozoology. That's going to be a different program. But we are going to do that. I do want to have somebody on for that because in this area, even some normal species have been called... we've been told they don't exist here, like mountain lions and gray wolves. People used to say they weren't around
Black
here.
Panther, you can catch one. I'm going to go off on one rant real quick, and I'm going to give you control of it. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Doctors are being trained, and I'm not going to call out a girl. Like we got into a little Facebook beef about 3 years ago on this when the lockdown first happened, because she was taught in school. Med school, that there's brown recluses are not around here. That's what she's taught. And so, here's what the basis of it is. A lot of people go into the doctor or an emergency room thing. They say, I got bit by a brown recluse, and it's all ooh and gross, and they're like, oh, it looks like it. But what it was is they got something infected. Because an infected wound looks very similar to a brown recluse spot.
Okay.
But it's just not true. You can go right now and you can they found brown recluses, and this probably goes into climate change a little bit. They found brown recluses at the very tip of Michigan in 2017. So the idea that you can just Google that and figure out that brown recluses are at the bottom of Michigan, because the map, I used to have it hanging right here when I'd stream, they cut it off at Knoxville, like brown recluses can't get past Knoxville for some reason.
Yeah.
But it has to be way out in Virginia by this point. If the northern has gone up to Michigan, the eastward push has to be in Virginia at this point.
I will tell you right now, and I'm 100% certain we do have brown recluses in
I've had
this
people
area.
sending me pictures of them in case I ever wanted to go on this rant again. Hey man, I found some.
people do send you pictures of spiders randomly.
Yeah, they
It's a
do.
thing.
Yeah.
That is a thing.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of spiders, yeah. I got spiders. I used to be the bug kid. I just kind of got out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're into entomology?
I loved entomology.
Cool.
I liked insects. I still like insects quite a bit. I don't kill them if I don't have to.
I don't either.
Anyway, I wasn't
I
calling the girl out. I really think that's a
Not 'cause I don't.
doctoral issue. She's listening to her people that taught her, and they taught her wrong. They need to update and they need to update their info. There are
You think someone tracks that? Like,
yeah, there's a spider. I can't remember the name of it right now, but there is a. I'm not drunk. I have a hungover brain at this point.
oh yeah, same.
There's a spider database that you can find, and you take a picture, and then you send the GPS coordinates in where you found it,
Okay.
and they tag it, and I can show you.
It's like a Where's George for Browner.
It is, but like I said, you can. They've been tagged as far as 2017 out in Michigan and places
Just
like
needs
that.
to be.
I'm just saying, I'm not fussing at the girl. She's a local physician. I'm not fussing specifically.
No,
I'm
I
just
see
saying
what you're
they
saying.
need
Important for her to know that.
They need to update their shit because
Yeah.
there's a lot of brown recluse spots. They're probably going, nah, this person's probably a done hick, and they don't know what infection is.
Right.
And I really feel like that's what the sentiment is.
It's probably it kind of goes along with what we were talked about a little bit last week when we talked about how a lot of medicine comes top down from curriculum in medical schools that all kind of teach the same thing, and the same advice kind of the same treatment kind of goes.
Mm-hmm.
I bet that information is
It's
not.
the information without the understanding.
It shouldn't be passed straight down from the top necessarily. I mean, that's a good thing, but we should also have the ability to look at the information locally and have the doctors, the people on the ground who actually are interacting with patients, use their.
Basically, what I'm saying
senses
is we need to overthrow the government. No, I'm not.
And get this
I'm not
database
making
up.
any
Tim-
sort of claim against the medical industry. All I'm saying is
Tim's joking.
we
Yeah.
have brown recluses in East Tennessee. That's all. That's the only stats I'm trying to make. And I don't know. How to segue away from spiders.
I don't know how we
What
got
were we
into
just talking
spiders,
about?
but Tim's
Cryptozoology.
Do we need to move into
Well-
your federal stuff? Because my stuff's bullcrap.
Well, spiders kind of come into my last topic I was going to go into on the show because
Okay.
we got little creepy crawlies on the internet, crawlers, web crawlers. But first,
Yeah.
we want to talk to Drew about cryptocurrency, and in particular, we want to talk to him about blockchain and Bitcoin. So, Drew, what would you say is the single most attractive feature of Bitcoin to you?
Oh, I think the decentralization is obviously going to be the biggest thing. Decentralization meaning it's distributed throughout the world, and there's no federal government running or Federal Reserve that runs Bitcoin, right?
What do you say? And I'm like,
Well, I mean, but that's a legitimate concern is that the more popular it gets, the more people that start owning larger shares of any kind of cryptocurrency.
Mhm.
If you do that and someone, and this is an extreme example, say someone owns half of the Bitcoin, because what is there? There's 21 million Bitcoin total that will ever be released. If someone owned half of them, then it's pretty centralized at that point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the decentralization and just there's in the last 10 years there's more and more laws, but it was the Wild West of doing anything. The dark web, that's how they were sending money back and forth to each other.
That's about
And
all
that's
I know about it.
that was its first big use case. I can send somebody money and they have no idea. They have a value. I'll say money, but I'll send them some sort of value. They don't know who actually sent it to them specifically, right? Like you could request it from me, but you don't. You see a seed, like a wallet, a number.
Okay.
You don't know that I actually sent that to you.
So let's say a lot of people, let's say in the government or in politics, their opposition to adopting cryptocurrency is that the government wouldn't be able to spy on people and see what they're doing with their money. But I've also heard people say that, well, they actually can. So what would you say to that concern?
That they actually can?
Well, let's say with both of them, from law enforcement, they want to be able to spy on your wallet, right? But apparently with Bitcoin, they can't do that like they would normally be able to. But then I have other people who say that, well, Bitcoin is actually not as not as private as you think because the ledger lives on, and they can always audit the ledger to find out who you are.
They can, and it makes it super hard, but with enough work they can, and they do this for like the real shitty stuff on the dark web.
Okay.
Like literally selling slaves or selling like kitty, stuff like that. But they can. It's just so hard. You're tracing, you're basically finding patterns. Okay, this thing in the ledger did this, and it's very, very hard to do that. But yeah, I mean, technically, once you're plugged into that blockchain, you see that whole ledger. You just can't really make sense of it. It's nonsensical because of just the seed values and stuff.
Okay, so you would basically it wouldn't be as simple as sending a warrant to a telecommunications company.
There's no who would you send it to?
Exactly.
You can't send it to. There's millions of users across this decentralized, like a distributed ledger system. Is
So
what it is.
would they have to dedicate like a large amount of resources to take that apart and look into it to try to even figure out?
Yeah, and I would say this: it would be way easier to just track someone's online activity.
So you're looking for a needle in a haystack, basically.
It'd be easier to trace a VPN,
Okay.
and go through because you can audit a VPN and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's super hard to do. Yeah, if I was trying to track someone down through their Bitcoin, I would go through 10 other things first.
Yeah.
I'd be looking at their internet. I'd try to get through to their single system before I
Okay.
would do something like that.
So how do you think when, if you recall, I think it was spring of, was it 2019 or 2020 when the pipeline was hacked, right? Remember the gas pipeline was hacked, and the hackers demanded ransom in cryptocurrency.
Right.
Well, if you recall, they got some of that ransom. The energy company paid before it ever went public, right? And the feds said they got some of that money back. Do you know how they would have done that?
I have no clue. I've never.
To me, it kind of sounds like the feds had to be involved in the ransom attack. Based on my
absolutely
understanding
could have been
of Bitcoin, they had to have been involved in some capacity.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep my mouth shut until y'all get the real.
Well, I
situation
mean,
out.
so here's the thing.
To have the key.
And this-
I mean, they'd have to have the key. Whether,
Right.
I don't mean involved in the actual ransomware attack. I just mean for the feds to get that money, they would have to have information from somebody who had the key, that Bitcoin wallet key, right?
I mean, I guess it just I had never looked into it, but it depends. Maybe that transaction didn't go through or something, so they were able to pull it before it was validated. Because it's the same thing with the banking system. The transaction has to be validated before it actually goes through.
Right.
That's why sometimes Bitcoin, just getting Bitcoin, it can take quite a while.
Okay.
The blockchain for Bitcoin is actually kind of slow.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of people saying like Ethereum eventually will take over Bitcoin because Ethereum, where Bitcoin is just a ledger, and we won't go too deep into this. It's a value, it's currency. Ethereum is an actual network where you can build applications and platforms that use the Ethereum network to do anything.
Okay.
Have you seen those NFTs?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that is built on the Ethereum network.
Okay.
And dude, those things are crazy.
Like the apes and the dragons and stuff.
Yeah. Some kid, 3 years ago bought what it was. It's a non-fungible token.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
I think that's
fungible? Is that
yes.
the word?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Oh, I mean, they're doing $100. Say some kid makes this little digital image of a monkey, like you're saying, or it'll look something like this. They're always crazy looking.
And it's a one of a kind image, right? With the key, with a key attached to it.
Yeah, and so they're using the Ethereum. The same thing as like if you have a 1 Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a value, and you can't just go on a notepad and say I have 1 Bitcoin. You're like, oh, I've got 1 Bitcoin right here, right? No, it actually has an inherent key basically
Mm-hmm.
to show you that this is actually worth 1 Bitcoin, right? So think of a serial number on a dollar bill. You can't just I've got $1. No, it has to be a legit serial number.
Okay. So that serial number would represent the whole of all the transactions of Bitcoin, basically.
Yeah,
right?
exactly right.
And it would represent that transaction's place in the ledger of.
Yeah, you have a seed value, right? But yeah, the NFTs and stuff like that they're crazy, but they're built on the Ethereum.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to derail back to Bitcoin. Sorry.
No. But they're built on Ethereum network. So, have you seen those little images of monkeys and stuff?
I don't know how they work.
Well,
Like,
it's a non-fungible token, so it's you have a picture, but that, literally all it is.
But what's the value behind it?
Like a painting. It's a collector's item,
There's only one, and you can prove you have the.
and you can prove
I'm going to
with the
give you
NFT value.
a dirt bag reference here.
Okay.
Is it kind of like a rare Pepe?
Yeah.
It only has value because somebody says that's valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, technically,
Because who's going to
Anything
buy?
that we
Say
collect-
you buy an NFT for $100. somebody else just wants it and they're willing to give you $100 for it. I mean, like,
Yeah, well, dude, some people were spent $100 in 2017, and they're worth like 1.1 mil. Like, they're huge now.
But again, where it's built on, if I understand correctly,
Ethereum.
it's built on Ethereum.
Which I don't understand.
That
would be too
that's a blockchain network, right?
Yeah.
Where you can prove. So it's similar to owning a Bitcoin in that, but it's just attached to this piece of art.
Oh, so is there a Bitcoin attached to it, or is
No,
Ethereum
attached.
Well, there's...
Because what keeps me from just painting something, taking an image of it that's pretty cool, and me going, this is worth 4 Tim Dave bucks.
Well, it's only worth what someone's willing to pay for it, right?
But what if I say it's worth 5, and then somebody gives me 5 for it? It's now in
then
that
it
thing
is
with
now
that?
worth
Then it's
5.
now worth
That's what I'm
5.
saying.
I mean,
That's
but if
what
you
I'm
think
saying,
about-
that, like, there's no such thing, like, I don't understand why people
Think
don't...
about houses. Like, okay, there is an inherent cost of a house.
Yeah, but you live in
like,
this thing. You can't live inside of an NFT.
That's right, yeah. But, okay,
We're
well,
just
think
making stuff up.
Think of, like, paintings, though. Paintings are really
is-
worth nothing. You know, they're worth
Yeah.
what someone's willing to pay for.
They're worth more
Yeah.
if your house burns down and they're in it. But
Well, if you think of an
get stolen or
NFT,
something, but-
if I think of, you ask what you know, the value comes from the attachment to that network. I think because not only do you have the rarity and the coolness of the art.
well, like, for example, that's a cruise ship. Whatever, where that chicken is too, right?
Okay.
Like, if you go, like, life hack, I don't know why anybody would be on a cruise ship right now because everybody should be afraid of germs. But, like, if you go talk to the art people at the end of the cruise, a lot of times they'll sell their stuff really, really cheap because it gets like, if you look at the frames and all that stuff, it's beat to hell. But I didn't pay hardly anything for all those. I just thought they were funny.
Okay.
But if you look at those, all come with certificates and everything.
Exactly.
But in the end, that's a damn chicken. I don't know how much that thing was supposed to cost at retail. I think I paid $40 for it. But
Right.
the whole problem with what I'm saying is, like, is that worth $40 to you? It was worth $40 to me because I have a weird chicken thing.
It could be worth $100 to somebody.
But that's what I'm saying, like, and now you've just but that's something I can grab and bash a robber over the head with. Where with an NFT, if the internet ever goes down, all that information is just lost to time.
Well, it won't be because it's on a decentralized network. So, then, like, I mean, if all the internet went down,
I'm just
I
saying,
guess the
like,
network would be
meteor.
down.
Everybody keeps calling for a 2024 meteor hit. I mean, like, I don't know
Well,
why.
at that point, you wouldn't need-
figured out
you
this is a
wouldn't need
collective
that.
conscious effort.
Well, one thing they're doing is like baseball, like basketball cards, baseball cards are
Yeah.
coming back in digital form,
What the hell?
and it's the same thing.
Wiki
Is it
race
on
card. Do you want
blockchain?
to turn that into digital?
It's validated through blockchain.
Okay.
So what it does is they've built these applications on the Ethereum network. Same thing. They validate the transactions. There's just transactions running, and you could go and validate. Hey, this guy owns this legit one, so this is legit.
I feel like they're creating a digital universe.
Dude, people love collecting things.
I know. Dude, look at my.
And they are, dude. Everybody
I'm a
has.
crabber.
Well, and you think about you have your room organized a certain way. You can have your phone or your computer organized in that way too, and a lot of people do that. They'll have folders full of these. And
Do you think this is going to, like, just behavior where we're leading into VR? Because eventually, at some point, it's not going to be good enough for me to go and look through all my little NFT tokens. I want to be able to walk into, like, a digital closet and look at all of them set on the shelf, like they're Smash
Oh
Brothers icons, and pick
it's
them up.
it's here.
But I know that has to exist for people that are into VR.
Oh,
on
it
some
absolutely
level.
probably.
Have you done the Vision Quest VR over there in the mall?
I have not.
It's in Johnson City. My work actually sent all of us over there, and we had rented the whole place out.
Gotcha, man. The chip tip.
And yeah, no, it was really fun. But these were kind of, I would say, they were not even like made by game companies by like Activision or like your A-list game development companies for your consoles. But these were kind of just, they looked like they were just made for the mall. But they were not A-list games, but they were still very convincing when you get into these VR things.
Yeah.
And you got these monsters coming at you. You can tell it's still a game, but you can also tell they wanted you to be able to tell it's still a game. They didn't want to make it too realistic because it'd be too freaky for people.
And the computer power required to make that look realistic in VR is insane.
Yeah.
They said for us to get to, what was the movie, Ready Player One? For us to get to that, you would need like 8K per hour resolution, which I guess would be technically 16K.
Right.
So we're not a long ways from it.
No, we're not. It's not the resolution that I said they.
It's the quality of everything.
Everything
It's
looks
also about affordability.
still a little
too.
flat. I think that's.
Well, it's only going to be fun.
It's
It's not
consumer
fun.
grade.
Well, can you imagine,
Exactly,
like, if
right.
you had, like, if you could walk into Lord of the Rings right now, that's how good it was. But there's only 60 of you in there. It only works if it's accessible to 60 million people because it's only fun at that point. and it's really
if you
expensive to
paid
do that.
enough today, you could have a legit like world, I guess. And I think the VR people are still trying to find their way. You know, like some people are like, well, you need an entire room dedicated to this and have not the headset on, but like some kind of like screen around all the walls or something like
It's
that.
not VR at that point.
Yeah, and then well, I mean, to an extent, it would.
Well, like if you need a gymnasium and you're just projecting
Exactly.
the texture and stuff, it's not. It's altered
It's
reality.
augmented-
At that
yeah,
point.
augmented
yeah, it's
I'm not
augmented
saying that's not
reality,
really
AR,
cool.
yeah.
But what is well, I can tell you, like I had just enough for our loyal tens of viewers out there. I'm a psych student dropout, and I was in the behavioral side of it. We actually picked the brain apart and all that kind of stuff. So all that stuff is very accessible.
Right.
It turns out. So all your touches, you know, all that stuff. It's what they call tonotopically. It's all across the top. So I'm telling you, if Elon's putting chips in people's head to give them more memory and stuff, all they're going to do is give
More
you.
memory. That would be
Yeah, that's
legit memory.
Neuralink. That's a thing. That's really coming.
Yeah.
Neuralink. You can increase your memory by
Okay.
30% or something.
Okay.
They have to put a damn chip in your head. But like it'd be totally possible for them to find a way to shoot a mild electrical signal through your cranium.
Make
and
you
make you
realistically
taste chocolate.
experience those
So I'm
things.
just saying, like all this stuff we're looking at, Sword Art Online,
You
all
think
that
we can
stuff.
ever do drugs like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can.
DLC?
You ever heard
Yeah.
of binaural beats?
I have not.
Okay,
Is that
binaural
real
beats.
though?
work-
Have you done it?
No,
'Cause I've
they-
seen it, and I don't know.
They will induce trance states in people. I don't know if they'll actually make you trip, but you can also take and move colors on the screen, for example, and you can cause your eyes to get to repeat that pattern basically somewhere else. So that's kind of a
Yeah, you can
artificially induced
trick
by
yourself in a lot of different ways.
by your eyes. But yeah, I think you're not far off there. And that kind of puts me back in conspiracy mode, Tim, because you were talking about Ready Player One, Drew, and you were talking about the VR, and we were
Mhm.
talking about Facebook. Well,
Facebook is the biggest. one of the
they have
biggest-
Oculus,
Owns
right?
Facebook.
Well, do you know what?
Facebook
A
owns
very interesting coincidence, or maybe not. When Facebook was founded, it was founded the day after a DARPA program was ended, which was called LifeLog. Now, this program had the same MO as Facebook. It wanted to collect data from people all over the world, and it wanted to collect their likes, their hobbies, their interests, their dislikes, who their social network was, and it wanted to create a virtual world
Mhm.
that the Pentagon could run simulations on to game out what their plans, what effects their plans were going to have on the future. It was called LifeLog. It was ended the day before Facebook was founded. Facebook, if I'm not mistaken, was given seed money from In-Q-Tel. I know Google was, but maybe Facebook wasn't. But I think they were. And then the next thing you know, they are nationwide, and they've built a whole database, or global. By the time you get to about 2010, 11, they've built a huge database of all our data,
Mhm.
and it kind of looks. I mean, you definitely have enough information to do a very good simulation. If you were collecting that data with the aim of building a simulation, you could probably almost read the future. And I kind of said,
That's Project Looking Glass. If you've never looked at
yeah,
that.
the Project Looking Glass is quite interesting, and I want to get to a very similar program called WebBot. And WebBot it was run by Cliff High and another man named, I can't remember his first name. His last name is Urer. Urer.
URER.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. But look up Cliff High, CLIFHIGH. These guys are software engineers that work for Microsoft. And in the late 90s, they came up with a program called the WebBot. And these are the spiders I was talking about earlier. You're talking, what they have is computer programs that basically crawl the internet. They look at all the public forums, chat rooms, sounding boards, or message boards, people's public walls in Facebook, Twitter, things like that, and they aggregate the data that of conversations, and they look at use of words, and they look at the words before and after a target word, and they see how the use of that word changes over time.
Mm-hmm.
And as they do, they start to build indicators of events that, not necessarily specific events that they're going to forecast, but peaks at this always come at certain times where big changes happen. Like September 11th was on a peak of one of these.
Mm-hmm.
The Wall Street crash in 2008 was on a peak of one of these. 2012 was a peak of one of these, and a lot of people can say, well, we didn't see any big apocalypse or anything like that, but I think there was definitely a shift. To me, there was a shift in the fabric of reality or something then, because this whole thing just started spinning a whole lot faster around then, and I don't think we even realized it at the time. But looking back, I think that is when the world kind of changed radically. But the WebBot program it's kind of it's predicted this last rise of Bitcoin back up to 65,000. And he actually predicted a couple of other ones with it. Cliff High interpreted the WebBot program to say that we were going to have it. And he even said 65,000. He said you're going to have a rise up to like 40 something, and you're going to have a dip back to about 30, and then you're going to hit up to 65. And I think Cliff High is one of the people calling about 2,000 or $200,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah, I've seen some 500,000
within like a year. Yeah, some people
within
say
a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, it kind of makes me wonder though, with inflation being what it is. I mean, officially inflation is at 5%, but realistically, they take food and gas out of that cost when they calculate that. So inflation altogether has to be a lot higher, and some items is definitely more. I mean, across the board, things are costing more now. So
I can't help but think that all the stuff that you guys are talking about, and then you can go right back into it, because I don't have good comments here. With Bitcoin, and probably more your Ethereum and stuff like that, it ties into your NFTs, it ties into your virtual reality. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to call them the beautiful, shiny people.
Okay.
The top people at the top of the world, the vampire, the blood drinkers. They want all this stuff, but you can't just build a virtual reality world, because I think that runs into transhumanism. You have to have that world so you can escape into it, right? Because this little thing ain't gonna last forever, right? So you got to download it, but you can't build that. You need 60 billion people in the world to all collectively work on this thing for you and keep it going, just like our artificial Fed system you was talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. It only works because we all collectively agree on it. And it is that whole grasshopper and the ant thing, but the ant thing's never going to happen.
We also have, as we've previously discussed on the podcast, the might of the U.S. military is what really backs up the Federal Reserve currency. The Federal Reserve is, the reserve currency of the world. Mm-hmm. Because when you try to go off of it and trade in other currencies like euros, good things generally don't happen for you in the petroleum market. So.
Well, if you switched it into digital, though, because they don't want to stay on that system forever, but you have to make. That's why I think America is never going to go anywhere. That if you can convince people to do something, then they'll do it, and so you just got to give them the right part. We need a digital currency, and so you pretend. I always say CIA because I think it's abbreviated. Right. You get the people to pretend like they're building these digital currency systems when it was you gave them the idea to begin with. I don't know. It's probably all bullcrap.
Well, I mean, people did this because they were tired. You do decentralization because you're tired of the centralization, right? Right. Because it's a game you can never win.
But it also looks like a absolute great way to hide your pedophile money at that point.
Oh, it's a great way to just hide money in general.
If I was them and I was doing all this stuff, because that's what cash was better for, because you could do stuff, but cash is physical. If you had the Bitcoin thing, now you can hide all your you don't have to have any more Fast and Furious scandals happen because it's all hidden with your Bitcoins, is what I'm saying. Like, right. So I would create that currency.
But here's the thing. Here's where the government knows their end game is eventually, because Bitcoin is not widely accepted, I can't go to McDonald's. You're going to have to pull that back into cash at some point. Yeah. Now, of course, I don't have multi-millions of this stuff out there somewhere. But, like that, I don't want to get too far off on this, but like, the whole thing right now where was the new all $600, they're going to basically start sending reports to IRS for anything that is...
the 600, it's if you do any transaction that's 600 up.
No, it's if you have over $600 in your bank account, then your transaction reports will be reported. Now they've upped it to 10,000. Okay. Who doesn't have 10,000?
is really not that much as an adult.
No.
Your bank account, you better have that or you're kind of effed.
And I think it's $10,000 I think it's $10,000 in transactions a year, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's effed.
See, I think they're doing that to force people to go into Bitcoin because the CIA made it and they want to raise the
Well, there's two things here. Is you have a lot of businesses. I don't know this for a fact. I'm not a subject matter expert on this, but I think you have a lot of businesses right now doing stuff through like Venmo and PayPal, and they're not doing the
streamers and stuff too. That was my theory. That's the one of the reasons they passed that law is because they want all those berries and super points and shit that they're running around on Twitch, and now all that money's not being taxed.
It's not taxable. Well, so say the guy that cuts my lawn, right? He comes once every 10 days or whatever, and I send him Venmo money. That's just money he's putting into his bank account. Well, I don't know he's doing that. It's just an example.
Yeah.
But there's a record of it.
He's a law-abiding citizen. There is a record of that, but I mean, for him, it's not like he's making multi-millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands.
He doesn't have it. He doesn't have a.
But think, he say he cuts 20 yards a day, and everybody's Venmoing him $50. I mean, that's a substantial amount of money.
When you start thinking about your streamers and stuff, like if you look on Social Blade, even like goofy people that are like shouting to 500 people on a weekend are still making $20,000 a month.
Yeah, they want that OnlyFans income. Is what
it's the same thing.
That's what it's about. They want the income from the gig economy, from the OnlyFans, and the thing is, it's not about having money, because they don't need money. They create as much money as they want. It's about controlling you.
Yes.
That's the only reason that they want into your bank account like this.
Yeah.
They print money all the time and they don't care. So why do they suddenly have to take it from somebody?
Well, they raise the debt ceiling like it's nothing.
Yeah. And so they're even talking about they floated having a Federal Reserve $1 trillion platinum coin. They were going to mint. This was stuff that got talked about in the halls of Congress, or in the Chamber of Congress, in the House of Representatives. They seriously proposed minting a $1 trillion platinum coin, because the Republicans were not agreeing to their spending plan or whatever. So they said they wanted to mint a $1 trillion platinum coin that they would then lend $1 trillion to the government against, or they would borrow $1 trillion against that coin. And it was going to be a 1 ounce platinum coin. 1 ounce of platinum is worth like $1,000 right now.
Yeah.
So that just shows you they don't care about collecting taxes and collecting taxes on the rich. There was a study done that even if you took every asset, right, of all the corporations that operate in the United States, and you took every bit of it, everything they have, it would fund the government till about December.
Yeah.
So obviously they're not being funded by that. They're being funded by being able to print fiat currency.
Yeah.
Or borrow against it, basically, is what they do. The United States borrows money and uses basically our labor as collateral. So that's why they want to get in your bank account. It's just to be able to control what you're buying, know what you're into, who you're talking to.
You're going to regret it, y'all, when you look into my bank
But that's
account.
full circle. That's the whole point of decentralization, is to lose control of that. And they're still trying to figure out ways to get this control. They proposed all kinds of crazy things to try to rope the decentralization people in.
I think they're
and everybody's like, no.
Is what I think it's
the minute a federal government is involved in decentralization, you're not decentralized anymore.
Well, the government of El Salvador has decided they're going to make Bitcoin legal tender.
Okay.
So what would happen if the United States government, I mean, obviously you don't really, or can't foresee everything about it. Do you have any ideas about what might happen if the United States government, say, started accepting Bitcoin as payment for taxes?
They could do it. Would anyone want to pay that, though? I don't know.
Well, my question is, because if you think about it, the government really has no control over Bitcoin at this point, right? I mean, there's no.
How do you regulate it?
Exactly.
That's the point, right?
So if they accepted it as a currency, would that change their ability? Because they would then be a part of the blockchain, right? And they would, if they accepted it as a currency, they would be probably eventually they would receive a large amount of it, and
which would put them at risk to the volatile, ways of the fluctuation.
True.
But so if they did that, it would skyrocket, because then at that point it's not going back down to $1,000, right? To an extent.
But then,
so the big thing is, here's why people will go against it, and we kind of talked about this maybe before the show, is if somebody starts owning a large amount of one currency, because there's 21 million, if the U.S., federal government accepts and gets, maybe not even a quarter of that, they wouldn't get, but they'd still get a large portion.
Yeah.
The decentralized community would be very concerned about that, because you don't want one person or one body holding that much.
So do you think they would then sell, and that would?
They absolutely.
Well, if they just bought all the Bitcoin and then they released debt coins where you could just get those bits, but they represent the bit that the federal government has collected all into one giant storage unit.
So that'd be the digital version of the Federal Reserve.
Well, I'm just telling you what's coming.
Yeah.
I guarantee there's something on
That's
there.
what's coming.
They're
just getting y'all to build it.
There is a digital coin being looked at by the Treasury Department and by the Federal Reserve called the Fed coin. I don't know a lot about it, but it's looked at. It's not being called a blockchain. It's being called a digital coin, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
There's also WorldCoin.org. Now, I got turned on to this because I follow Edward Snowden's Twitter account, and he mentioned it because they are wanting to tie your wallet to your biometric data. That way, nobody else can accept your data. And they say that they don't save your data, that they actually create a hash based on your data that they can use to distinguish you from other hashes. So basically, they're making a hologram, so to speak, of your eye, 2D. They're making a 2D version of it, that the way they can take a 3D hologram and you can translate it into 2D and then spray it back out and you can see it in 3D. Well, that's what they're doing with your eye scan, and they're saying that they're not keeping your scan. To me, that sounds like that they could recreate your biometric data with the hash that they created from it, if it's unique enough to distinguish you from someone else's.
So basically, like, everybody has a seed that is your identification almost.
Yes.
You don't have that in a numeric value.
There's no wallet key.
Yeah, okay. It's your eye is your wallet key at that point,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
If they printed my eyeball out, they'd be like, what the hell are they looking at? Because there's just so many floaters in it. Can't see my eye.
But then you assume the risk of, if I lose this eye,
Well, somebody can take
goes all my money too.
Somebody can steal your eye.
Then you get into like a repo man situation. Forrest Whitaker comes and cuts your eyeball out.
I didn't want to need that lung back.
Well, they didn't even mention that, but
Forrest Whitaker probably could use the eye, right?
Yeah, it probably could. But yeah, the WorldCoin, that's something being floated around in your World Economic Forum sections, kind of sectors.
This is probably off topic, but you mentioned it. You said I should have brought this up one week, and now that we're talking about currency. Gensera and Nensera, how do you say that? I've seen it, but I've never looked too much into it.
Well, Gensera and Nensera was kind of like the idea that the end of the central bank system was at hand due to some kind of entity owning all this gold and issuing a new currency basing it on all this gold or something. That I don't know a lot about it.
Okay, I've seen that floated around.
But when we were talking about the Great Reset, I thought that kind of was kind of the opposite, the inverse, the hopeful version of the Great Reset that people were peddling as something beneficial that was going to happen versus a control grid. And I think in that last episode, I kind of left out a couple of things, like how that actually it becomes implemented, and it has to become implemented by not having access to things that we normally have access to, where basically the supply chains break down, and then the government comes in and says, hey, you can have access to this little bit amount of this, you can go to work, you can do this, but you have to have this digital ID in order to prove that you are not someone who's already gotten theirs, that you have the right to accept this stuff. So I think it's basically, it's dependent on us not being able to support ourselves. And I didn't mean to say that we should all just go live off the grid or anything like that, but what I meant is we should be building our own infrastructure that we can use alongside what we're using now. We don't necessarily have to go on the same grid that's here. We can kind of make our own grid or build our own grid into the grid, because I think even the World Economic Forum, they don't want to take down our full infrastructure of, they're using that stuff too. So in the event of a great reset and a digital ID system where cash is no longer accepted, and you'd probably have limited access to technology in that case, or to energy, I should say. I think everybody would have a cell phone still to take their digital
That's about to
ID
be
on.
attached to you.
But let's say all that goes away and we don't have an electric grid, we don't have communications. Would Bitcoin? Is there any hardware application, or does it have to be attached to?
No, you
the
can
network?
you can pull it completely off the network.
Okay.
And people do that. I mean, it's as simple as a USB would do it.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
what would happen if that USB pulled it off and then you threw that USB in the lake?
yeah, then if you lose your key, then yeah, you're done.
So hypothetically, if I bought
they
all
do-
21 bazillion Google Schmeck coins and I put them on a terabyte and I just threw it in the ocean, I could completely shit can the whole currency.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean that would be sounds expensive.
Well, I'm just
But
saying,
no,
anything where it's
So I
expensive.
don't know a whole bunch about this, but I do know that people actually did. They would pull them off, and they would go to a physical, like a Bitcoin exchange.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
Okay, so that's kind of what I was getting around to. Is even if there wasn't that infrastructure in place, I could still theoretically or hypothetically take my USB Bitcoin wallet key and I could go to somebody else who had a computer, whether or not it's connected to that network, and we could still build a blockchain by trading,
Yeah.
by physically taking that around from.
You'd have a
computer to
physical what they call a wallet,
computer. Right.
and that would have all of your value on there. Now, you'd have to put it back on there to have the value.
Right.
Well, I guess if say everything completely.
Let's say everything was gone. There was no radio. Or
So do you think at
wire
that point?
transmission.
Well, we'd be trading.
Well, do you think
bottles
at that
after
point
wouldn't we?
then? How would we know the actual? Because it's a volatile market; it moves up and down. Do you
Right.
think it's static at that point?
I don't know. That's a good question. I
Does
hadn't
it
even
does it
considered
basically
that.
hit pause? Because
Well, either
how
that
do you track?
or either that or it goes way down because the value would be less if people aren't using it. The value is going to be down. So I'm basically my idea is, would it be as easy to take a USB and say you were as a business, you find a way to have electricity and run a computer, but you have no network. So if we took that information, instead of transmitting it instantly, if we actually physically carried it, could we still create a blockchain network based on transactions that were coming in from other places? When we saw other people's Bitcoin coming in to say our disconnected computer.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern was this a legit Bitcoin? Because now
Right.
you don't know. You don't have that ledger system to validate the transaction.
Right. So you would have. I guess I'm getting a little esoteric there, but my idea is it seems like that it could potentially even still work with the transmissions taking longer than basically. But I don't know enough about the Bitcoin to see. So that's one criticism I hear a lot about Bitcoin is that, well, if we don't have electricity, it's going to be useless. So whether you have a storm go out or a storm knock the power out or whatever.
I mean, I think if that was the case, you'd be trading chickens again at that point.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I mean,
Fallout.
We're in Nuka-Cola caps.
but I mean, I guess even in the case of an emergency, your power goes out and you need something immediately. The Bitcoin, you would actually if you could physically take it as long as there was still a network to get.
Yeah, and people get locked out. There was that one guy who had like multi-million. You ever see this?
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
saw
whatever
that.
happened to that. He had one more password attempt.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
And if he didn't do it, the seed basically was lost. I mean, his wallet blew up, and he lost all those millions.
So
and
where's
he
that
just
money go?
it still stays in that wallet, and it's gone
Nobody
at
can
that
get
point.
it.
Yeah,
So
nobody
it's,
can get it.
It's just like me.
It doesn't
throwing-
like go back
like
into
you
the.
throw it into the lake.
Yeah.
I gotta get this out of my head before I lose my mind. I keep hearing talk of cryptocurrency, of the Doge coin, right? DOGE.
They refer to that as a shit coin.
Okay, well it is a shit coin. I don't know anything about it. I like to be, before Internet Historian, which is a YouTuber who took that name, I used to refer to myself as that because I like deep internet stuff. That term, I'm 99.9% sure, comes from a web cartoon called Homestar Runner
Okay.
that they used to make with Flash animation, and the
Uh-huh.
character was just this goofy-looking blobby figure dude with big shoes that talked real stupid.
Yeah.
And he would refer to dogs as "Hello, dog," And as dumb as that sounds, I've seen those little Homestar things all over Reddit for decades.
Yeah.
So I know that has to be where that original term came
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
It's a Doge. It's not Doge. And I'm sorry, Gen Z. Stop calling it Doge. It's Doge.
That's not
I'm really not that attached to it. But I'm pretty sure that comes from Homestar Runner.
Dude, I got a buddy that made like 60 grand on that, and it was funny because everybody was telling him, he was excited because he bought his first crypto, and everybody was telling him, "Oh, that's a stupid one. You shouldn't have bought that." That's
It
a
was
joke
made
one."
to be pointless.
Yeah.
People have made it literally pointless.
Yeah, and I actually explained that to him, but I didn't make him feel bad about it. I just told him that, and like a week after that is when Doge.
Well, it hit
Blew
five.
up,
blew
What did it go
up,
to? 5 cents.
Yeah.
They were trying to pump it to 10. But we were talking about this earlier. It doesn't have a value. That really has
really
no.
doesn't, yeah.
It only has the value. But when people are buying something, then it increases the value
doesn't,
because
right,
they set the value.
Well, one of the things I understand about Bitcoin, if I get it correctly, is one of the reasons that it does have value, aside from the decentralization, is the amount of energy that you have to expend in order to get it, because you don't use that kind of energy for free. In fact, that's one of the last things we want to talk about today. Is here locally in Washington County, we have, I think it's somewhere off of Highway 11E. We have the Red Dog Technology Bitcoin Farm.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, and
Interesting name.
yeah, Red Dog Technology. Yeah, they have according to Jeff Dykes of Bright Ridge, they say it's a $10 million operation as far as
Is Bright Ridge connected to it?
yeah, Bright Ridge. No, Bright Ridge is where they buy the power from. Bright Ridge actually gives them a deal because they buy it at off-peak times. So this means that it's running when people are mostly not using energy.
At nighttime.
Gotcha.
Yeah, at night. So, but here's the thing: it's super, super loud because you have bays and bays of computers with graphics processors and CPUs just running constantly, and that takes a lot of cooling to keep them down. So the neighbors, there's a church up there. They're like a half mile away, and they say that they can't, they can hear the thing roaring away from there. So a lot of people are trying to get them moved out of there. They're also,
Just
trying to get the area
noise.
rezoned.
Put a noise barrier up at some place.
Yeah, it seems like
highway barrier.
And you got to think they're running off peak, so they're running at night.
They're running
Right.
at night so people can hear them.
Right.
It's not like it's for just daytime and then it shuts down.
I think if I was Red Dog, I would just oblige the community and stick
Put
up
some
some
noise
sound
barriers
barriers
up
there.
there.
I mean,
Yeah.
gosh, you're running a $10 million operation. This seems like it's
I
pretty
wonder what
easy.
that looks like. I
to
mean, is it
deal
like a
with.
warehouse? 'Cause
It looked like a series of small, looked like elementary school portable buildings.
the
That's kinda
pods.
what it looked
Yeah,
like,
okay.
That's just the picture I saw on WJHL.
Man, I bet that's so hot.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was just about to say, since I bet that feels like Dollywood in August, just
Being close to
seeping
it.
humid and all that.
Yeah, because those things run. I mean, I don't know what. So they calibrate them to run a specific wattage and stuff. So I don't know how hot they're running, but I know those GPUs can get pretty stinking hot around. So mine, say you're running like a VR game, the max you'd hit is maybe 70 Celsius, and I don't know what that converts to, but
Couldn't you
pretty
collect that
stinking
heat?
hot. Couldn't you collect that
Wouldn't
heat?
that be real green energy? If those CPUs are producing that much heat, all you need
Use
is
it to turn a turbine.
That's what I'm saying.
Steam.
If it goes up,
Heat some
you
steam
can
and
turn
make
that.
it energy.
I know that sounds stupid, but you could
That doesn't
literally
sound
Probably
stupid
you
at
could
all.
gather
Okay.
about everything. If you've got enough heat coming out of your computers that you're running so many fans that people out in the middle of nowhere, because people are complaining because your building's too loud at night, gets that awful lot of energy. It seems like you could repurpose some
Well,
of that
Drew was
energy.
telling us about the place in upstate New York. What was it?
Seneca Lake.
Yeah.
I think we're saying that. Seneca. Sounds right.
Sounds right. Yeah.
But yeah, there was a report on that. So it was. I think it was the actual energy company had this farm up there.
Okay.
So they put it off the lake, and they were using the lake water to hydrocool these graphics processors, and it was actually heating the lake to an extent where people were like, I don't want to say it was like boiling, but it was like a hot tub,
Noticeably hot. Yeah.
noticeably hot because of how hot those things run. And I wonder if it was just like an area of the lake, or how big is this lake?
I don't
You
know,
know what I'm saying?
There's the nuclear plants like down in this is funny because Seneca's actually in South Carolina. Seneca, that's where Duke Energy's plant is down there,
Okay.
and they have a lake there that they take the water out of to cool the nuclear fuel rods.
Uh-huh.
But they have the facility set up so but by the time the water goes back into the lake, and now it doesn't actually pick up any radiation, and it is cooled off to where it doesn't affect the temperature of the lake.
Right.
So I mean, I know they have a lot more security in place to stop that from happening, but that's kind of crazy that the Bitcoin farm is going to heat up the lake more than a nuclear power plant in there.
Well, yeah, it sounds like they don't have, or they didn't have something in place like that to cool it back down. But that's more energy you're expending. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like instead
Well,
of heating the lake up, catch that heat.
So in short,
and then turn it into something else. Is what I'm saying.
In short, Red Dog, call us, man. We got some good ideas.
We got some
for
good
you.
ideas.
We could improve your public.
Yeah,
we could. Well, I mean, one Bitcoin for we could do a lot for that. So
yeah,
give us a holler. We could improve your public image and.
I wouldn't improve your public image. No.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, you would, Tim. You're a likable guy.
When did that come in?
It's been over the last couple of years.
Okay.
I've been hearing it in the news for probably about the last year. One interesting story has kind of been ongoing there. So yeah, that's our talk for today. I want you to join us again.
Here you go.
And but that's right. But we did have one topic Tim wanted to bring up.
I have to.
That's right. So we're not done yet.
Give me 1 second. I was scrolling down there. I saw a couple of articles, and it was I think the top one that I saw was a Tim Pool article, and it said deranged leftist attacks Dave Chappelle supporter.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're all the hell over Dave Chappelle right now.
Yeah.
The part that they okay.
Yeah.
I have to identify, like, when I see, because I'm a fence sitter. I love, because Tim Pool claims to be a fence sitter. He's not. I'm the real Tim that sits on the fence, man. I got fence posts on my cheeks.
Tim Pool is a fence sitter.
And with this thing, I had to. I clicked on these things. I've not been really listening to a lot of those guys lately. But I clicked on it, and they never once brought up the fact that the guy who is out there doing it is also a provocateur named Dick Masterson.
Yeah. That was
what a name.
It's a fake name.
Yeah, they talked about that on Tim Pool, didn't they?
Yeah, but it was like a throwaway thing. They were so focused on the idea that this deranged leftist attacked a guy with the Dave Chappelle sign, when that's probably what he went out there to try to do. Man, you can track this guy all the way back to Dr. Phil. That's how long he's been trolling.
Dick Masterson.
He went on. I don't even know his real name. I think he's like Latino, Greek. I don't know. Anyway.
Okay.
Look him up. I'm not like a subscriber or anything, but I did kind of like a deep dive on him a long time ago. You can track him back all the way to Dr. Phil, where he came on to Dr. Phil as a fake character. And you can just look up Goose Wayne Batman in YouTube, and he comes on in a suit, and Dr. Phil's all like, look at this guy, like, what the hell? And he's like, because when he comes in, he's wearing a suit, but he still has the black around his eye, like he forgot to take it off when he took his Batman mask off. And he's totally fake it. And it turned out there's a whole group of these guys that later became YouTubers because they found it was like easy money. It's like, what? Dr. Phil will give you $250 to come in here and talk about your problems?
Wow.
I'm Batman. And he would go on, and there's a bunch of these people that were never real to begin with.
Right.
And which is probably your cash me outside people too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's just you start there and you build your persona from there.
Right.
But anyway, the person that got punched by the insane leftist was actually Dick Masterson.
Okay.
And I just think that's funny because it's like, well, yeah,
he injects himself
to try to get punched. So if I had to guess,
yeah, that was a pretty good bit, I thought. And then you had the one guy out there, he was just saying, holding up the sign that said, "We like Dave."
That's Dick Masterson.
Yeah,
he's got the long curly hair. That's Dick.
So you think when people talk about like paid protesters, like that's these
no,
guys?
I don't think Dick is a paid protester. I think he's one of those guys that goes out there because he's whatever you would call like an IRL comedian. He's not on stage doing stuff, but he intentionally goes out there to see if he can get people to do something weird, kind of like Sam Hyde went to Shia LaBeouf's thing when he was doing the thing up in Canada, and just sit there.
Is it kind of like a Borat thing then?
I think that's kind of
less absurd.
Less
I would
absurd,
say because Dick doesn't pretend to be anything else. He's just him out there with a sign going, no, we like Dave.
But he knows the cameras are rolling.
Whereas Borat
and the articles are being typed.
And he knows the people.
He knows his whole modus operandi.
He knows the crowd that he's out there talking to too.
Right.
And basically, I think he knows that him supporting Dave is going to trigger that crowd.
Right.
And so I guess he's just going to go out there and record their reactions.
To be fair, I didn't watch the whole thing.
I didn't either. I just watched a portion.
I mean, like when you know
the
the history of somebody.
The Netflix special.
What?
What?
I haven't watched the Dave Chappelle special.
Oh, okay.
No, I haven't watched any.
It was okay. I mean, it wasn't
okay?
that good.
It was
Honestly,
boring.
It was okay.
It wasn't good enough to for people to still be talking about.
It
honestly.
wasn't no
Well,
sticks and stones.
I heard
No,
somebody
it
say
wasn't.
somebody said that if he hadn't even gone after trans people, it would have gone right under the rug. Like it just was not really that.
He did, but honestly, he didn't even really go after him.
No,
But that's
he
what it
didn't.
was about. Everybody's mad at
But
him
here's the
because he went
thing:
after
that was
trans
his
people.
whole point.
That's-
Is like,
it doesn't matter what he says; they're going to say he went after trans people
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm just saying that helps him a lot, and I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
we're,
Oh, it
we're
absolutely
giving
does, and
into
that's,
this. Like it's almost like I wish people would stop pretending like we're not doing that. Like we acknowledge that everybody just wants to be mad, and that's the only reason. I'm not a Dick Masterson fan, although I would say I'm a Goose Wayne Batman fan. But I have to kind of like him, okay, because he's not hiding behind the persona of a Borat, for example.
Yeah.
Where Borat went into a village as a piece of shit and didn't
Right.
tell those people he was doing that.
Right.
Dick Masterson walks out there in the middle of California, wherever he's at, with a sign that says, "We like Dave Chappelle."
Yeah.
And if he gets punched, that's good camera for him.
Yeah.
He's going to make a video about, remember that time I got punched by the leftist?
The funniest thing to me was they mobbed him and broke his sign, and then he picked up his pole that his sign was on. They're like, "He's got a weapon! He's got a weapon!"
I have not seen this. I'll have to check this
They
out.
came and they're like, "Put your weapon down." He laughs. He's like, "You want me to put my stick down, my sign that you broke?" They're like, "Yes, put down the weapon." He's like, "Okay," but yeah, that was. I'm glad you brought that up because that was that's an interesting situation there, and it was fun.
Goose
and,
Wayne Batman is my point.
yeah,
That's my only point.
Goose Wayne
Oh,
is.
hogweed.
I want to check out Goose Wayne on Dr. Phil because that sounds hilarious.
Should we save hogweed for Halloween?
Yeah, let's save hogweed
Because
for
that goes
next
to
week.
Russia, and it has nothing
It's
to
going
do
to take
with
you.
it.
It's going to take you a while to set up hogweed.
I think so, yeah.
So let's do that next time. We'll put out a new video next Sunday. I want to thank Drew for joining us. It was good to have you on. You fit right in. Drew, where can people find you? You said you do some Twitch streaming. So where can people find you?
Just Drew Sheen is my handle for basically everything. If
Okay.
you ever want to come check it out. DREWSHING.
Well, it was nice having you on, and I hope you'll come back and talk with us again sometime
course.
because you fit right in with the whole vibe of the podcast. And we're going to continue talking about local stuff with conspiracies, with national news, with just whatever the hell
Next
Tim and
week
I.
is Halloween
and,
Center.
yeah, next week we're going to do a local ghost and monster and scary stuff story. So that ought to be really fun. We got a lot of material to work with. If you have any that maybe we've not heard about, you can message us at the Iron Mountain Hour at gmail.com. Be sure to check out our channel and subscribe and follow us there. You know, hit the notifications. We're not going to send you a bunch of notifications. We do one video a week for right now. At some point, we may move that to a few a week, but for right now, we're doing them on Sunday nights. I'm trying to get them up as soon as I can, but it just takes so long with YouTube sometimes that it can be midnight before I get them up. But they'll be up before Monday morning. I'm also working on getting everything on Odyssey and LBRY. It's been a little tricky. The last one I've uploaded was glitchy and didn't work right. But I do want to go to a decentralized network like LBRY Odyssey, which, if I'm not mistaken, is built on blockchain. That's something I want to do. And I want to do live streaming on that eventually too and have audience participation. So thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next week on Sunday, October the 31st for our Halloween show here at the Iron Mountain Hour. See you guys.
See you. It'll tickle your innards.